Hello, and welcome back to the Boston Review.
This week's Incredulous installment, which is really last week's Incredulous installment, will feature commentary from comrades Scott, Joe, and myself. We discuss the murders of Jordan Neely in New York and a Honduran family in Texas, all symptomatic of America's valorization of vigilante violence. Plus, the country's most butthurt police force, greasy coffee, developments on safe injection sites, Boston's own defenders of the unhoused, another debt debacle, fascism in Latvia, and, of course, the writer's strike. Slams are courtesy of Prague.
Please do us a favor and share this content. Do yourself a favor and enjoy our back.
That's the fucking baseline. You owe dignity and respect to your fellow human being. People don't deserve to be choked out on the fucking subway for having a bad day. People deserve to have a fucking food and have a fucking roof over their heads. I'm just tired of watching society degrade to a point where, like, this kid's looking for her lost kitten and you think you're gonna, shoot the child because you're such a fucking tough guy. Like, just shut the fuck up with that.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how it.
There.
No, it's fine. I don't know how we go from here other than to help each other.
No,
but
I know exactly. We can only help each other.
All right, boys.
It's just another day of death in America.
Oh, another day of
The
death in America.
slaughterhouse of the world.
Bro, don't start. You don't have to,
All right.
No, it's fine.
we don't have to get off on the wrong foot on purpose. It'll happen.
Oh, I just kind of want what was in my head.
It'll happen
with the most
naturally. We don't have to
possible.
accelerate it.
Joe does have a point that we are in, we're in a new phase of the hell world recently. It's getting kind of worse. But we don't have to rattle. We don't have to shake the doom rattle. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But we are going to open up with some unfortunate news. We're talking about, unfortunately, the death of Jordan Neely on the New York subway. A houseless, he was a street performer. He was a Michael Jackson impersonator or impressionist impersonator.
24-year-old who was going on about how he was fed up and tired of being always hungry and without shelter, is literally strangled to death by a psychopathic ex-Marine fascist. And
do we know anything about the guy? The
guy who murdered him was a 24-year-old ex-Marine, kind of a psycho. His photo looks like a henchman in an 80s movie.
Oh, okay. What? I know he was a former Marine. Have they released his name or whatever?
Last name I think is Penny. I can't remember the first one for the life of me.
All right, yeah, but anyways, Neely was a very well liked street performer, Michael Jackson impersonator, and it's just it speaks to the bloodlust and dehumanization that we do to people who do not have.
Name.
Okay, thank you. Please do that. But it speaks to the dehumanization and how we don't see people who don't have homes
Daniel Penny.
Oh my God, thank you, Joe. How we see these people, we don't see these people as human, and how we're taught to not see them as human, and how we're taught to see people who are houseless as being hostile and dangerous for society, when actually it's the other way around. The ills of society are affecting them more than anyone else. And, it's a failure that there's anybody in this country that doesn't have a home. It's just, this sucks. It just sucks. And it sucks that people are rationalizing it. And it sucks that people are, not more outraged about how we treat the homeless in this country. It just sucks. And I don't really know what else to say. As we were talking about before all this, Hassan had a pretty good stream about it, but, we don't need to, I don't want to advertise Hassan. He's plenty. He's got plenty.
He's plenty.
There were protests, yesterday in New York, where protesters got into the subway.
Oh, wow.
They went onto the subway tracks to block the subway.
Wow. We support Hassan, but he's got enough. But no, what do
And
you?
America has decided that being a narcissistic, selfish piece of fucking garbage is a virtue.
That's all I wanted to play. Okay, Joe. Sorry.
I've actually posted it in the Discord about how at one point a photojournalist was videotaped being arrested just for like being there by the cops, which is kind of a whole other level of fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
great, we have freedom of speech except for when the journalists are attempting to do their jobs and it happens to be covering police abuse.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's all part of the fascist. Oh, excuse me. That's all part of the fascist state, and how we suppress information and keep people on a narrative that they don't question.
Obviously.
It sucks.
It was amazing to see the Biden give a speech at, like, what was it, like Correspondents' Dinner, saying that, like, no journalist should be, like, imprisoned for doing their jobs. Journalists should be free. Meanwhile,
Except
the
for
United
Julian
States
Assange.
has Julian Assange in prison, like, literally tried to assassinate him.
Assange is certainly a problematic figure, but yeah, no, that's bullshit.
Well, they still want to assassinate him. They would try him for treason.
Yeah, I know. Like a country shouldn't try to assassinate a journalist for any reason. Is my point. But like Assange, oh god, it's a whole thing. He's a whole thing. Moving on, anyways. Sorry.
I don't really care about the guy. I care about like his work.
Precisely.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
His
at.
work was what radicalized me, really. Seeing the drone strike footage.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ugh.
It totally challenged my concept of like empire.
Yeah. But he's kind of like a Glenn Greenwald in the sense that like he is like his purpose is we can move on from him. Basically, is what I'm saying. Like he did important work, but like because he's not a good guy, he's a scumbag.
Yeah, but he's not being like.
I know.
Here's the problem.
That's
the problem
bad.
is that
he shouldn't be arrested. I'm not
he's
saying that.
being tried for the best things that he ever did.
I know, and he shouldn't be. I'm not saying he should be. I'm just saying that like he kind of
We're saying, like, that's the problem.
I know, and I'm saying that he went bound. Yes, and that sucks, and that shouldn't happen. But I'm not saying that he also isn't like a shitty dude. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's lots of
That's all I'm saying.
shitty dudes.
There's too many shitty dudes. It sucks, and sometimes they do very good things.
Every time I die, I don't know if you know that band, but they
No, I
posted
do.
they posted a video on YouTube just called "Shitty Dudes," like 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, I know that video. Yeah, they're like doing like cannonballs into their like pool off the back of their porch or whatever.
They're just
I've seen
drunk.
that video.
It's fun as fuck.
Keith is a cool dude.
ETID, shitty dudes.
Hell yeah, watch that shit. It's good. All right, thank you. We moved on from my
Fucking fumbling.
with explaining how. So, anyways, yeah,
It's okay. It's all right.
it's all right. You know, we're all growing. We're all learning. We're all learning.
Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off.
All right. Yeah, this country, we need to house the homeless. All people who have no homes should, or have nowhere to stay, that should be rectified. And we need to do something about the culture of fucking violence. Like, we're really, like, this is a bad country. And, like, it's interesting in how, like, this in particular, and something about this fucking year in particular, is really, like things are opening up in a way that, like, they haven't felt like they have in the past couple of years with all the tumult in the past couple of years, even though it still feels like something might be revolving. Something might be revolving, if you know what I mean. I don't know, man.
This shit feels like it's popping off
Yeah.
like more intensely
Exactly.
and more frequently.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking hell world.
This past week, there was actually a positive development this week in Austin, Texas, where voters passed a strong police reform bill through a ballot question. And I don't know if you remember her, Jesse. Heidi Sloan was one of the organizers working on it.
Mm.
And
Wait, what was the question?
you remember Heidi Sloan? She ran for like Congress in Texas, like really base platform.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, she was one of the organizers on this ballot question campaign to implement like a police oversight board or whatever on the Austin Police Department. And the police union responded literally like the next day with a 4-tweet thread
4 tweets.
stating, quote, "The Austin Police Association is aware of the election results and is taking immediate action to determine the city's intentions regarding the implementation and enforcement of the illegal provisions contained in Prop A.
Wait.
The Austin Police Association
Wait.
simply will not stand by while this city
Wait.
and anti-police activists operate with blatant disregard for state law for the
What?
rights and protections afforded to our hardworking men and women. The Austin Police Association continues to prioritize negotiating a long-term contract with the city. However,
Oh my
we will
God.
not be forced back to the table under a structure in which a new city ordinance attempts to unlawfully interfere with the statutory rights associated with the meet and confer process. We look forward to finding these answers so that we can get back
These
under
answers?
a long-term contract
Wait a minute.
that allows for our police department to recruit, hire, and retain the best and brightest people who wish to serve this community in a law enforcement capacity.
So they're basically saying they're not going to follow the new law.
Yeah, they
that
don't have
seems to be
to.
the thrust of it.
We need to evaluate this. That's so funny. Oh my God. Oh,
And what's even funnier is
Jesus
that
Christ. I mean, that's no,
the
go.
city's contract with the police union expires like next month.
Oh boy.
So
Cop strike, probably.
they had the election like scheduled for like this week because the city wasn't willing to go into contract negotiations with them until after this referendum.
Oh boy. Wow.
And so now the police union is having a tantrum because they lost. This is the dumbest fucking thing. They created like a group that they funded to put up a opposing ballot question that was like named basically the same thing with significantly watered down language, hoping people would get confused and pick the wrong one.
Ugh.
But 80%
Come
voted
on.
for the other bill.
Huh.
Just egg on the face.
God damn it.
Hell yeah, people.
What town was that?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Hell yeah. We are banging our cups on the table as they do
Yeah.
in the beer halls.
Texas is a pretty broad spectrum.
Beer
Like,
halls.
from city
What
to
on
city,
earth is
you get very different attitudes towards public policy.
Indeed.
Yeah, it really is like the whole spectrum of like, you know, places like Austin, and then you have like places where that, you know, unfortunate thing happened to Texas.
Oh yeah.
North of Dallas or whatever.
What?
So,
I know what he's talking about.
I don't.
Are you talking about the shooting?
yes.
Okay, yes.
Uh,
Yes, the other thing. There's been a whole lot of shootings everywhere.
sorry. I'm like fucking stupid today.
It's fine. Sometimes we are stupid. You gotta dare to be stupid.
It's fine. My back is fucking stupid
I
every
was sick
day.
all last week, and now I have a fucking ear infection.
Ugh.
I feel like garbage.
Gotta get you a body scan. I have a new... It's called sci-fi. I don't know, sorry.
Last night, I went to my NA home group, and the guy who was speaking was like, "Hey, man, you sound sick." I was like,
Thanks, bro.
That's what I said.
Whoa.
Anyways, Joe, you want to talk about the Arab League?
So, in another
There you
blow
go.
to U.S. interests abroad.
Well, wait a second. Why
Oh.
don't we talk about the shooting first, while we're on topic?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Well, I don't really have anything... I mean, Joe, do you know the details?
You specifically, bro.
I brought it up, I know, but I don't know the details. There's just been a lot of shootings, and it's fucked up. I don't know. Man,
We'll talk about that. But how, you know, lots of shootings, things are fucked up.
yeah, that's all I really was going to say. So,
The trend that I've noticed, and it's not just me, but like
fucked up and bullshit.
much more often than even in recent history, there are stories of like delivery people,
Yes.
friendly neighbors, like, or people who like accidentally pull into the wrong driveway, just get shot.
There was literally a story about
Yeah.
that last week also in Texas where like someone like murdered 5 of their neighbors basically out of nowhere.
Yeah. That one's even worse because the reason the guy murdered his neighbors was because, so this guy was just in his yard shooting, and the people who lived next door to the guy, somebody went over and was like, yeah, we have a baby that we're like kind of trying to get our baby to be able to go to sleep, and she's like crying and afraid because you're shooting your gun. So his response to that was to kill everyone.
And then the police accidentally accused the wrong person of being the suspect.
Yes.
and posted their name and photo on social media.
That wasn't the police. That was the FBI.
Oh.
Sounds about right for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was fucking dorks.
To be fair, the FBI initially accused the wrong person when the Boston Marathon bombings happened.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to make that retraction, but you already put that out there.
I think that kid almost
took his own life.
Jesus Christ. Cops in America, folks. We don't need them. We don't want them.
Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Get them out of
Especially
here.
the FBI. We really don't need those fuckers.
Yeah, man.
Their whole reason for existing is crushing socialists, so...
Arab League.
So, the latest setback for the United States and its agenda abroad, the Arab League has voted to reinstate Syria as a member. The Arab League is kind of like a mini UN, but for the Middle East, in the sense that it's supposed to govern disputes, all this other kind of type of shit. Its goal is to promote regional peace and stability and that kind of shit. And so Syria was expelled from the organization when the civil war started.
Huh.
And the fact that China was able to broker a peace deal between the Saudis and the Iranians to get them to reestablish ties, normalize relations again, that not only ended the war in Yemen, but it also greased the skids for Syria being able to reestablish ties with the rest of the Arab world, despite the U.S.'s continued sanctions and things like that. And probably wouldn't have happened as quickly if not for the earthquake, actually, because it allowed foreign dignitaries from countries that at the time were not on speaking terms with Syria to allow them to arrive in Damascus with humanitarian aid to discuss normalizing relations under the pretext of we're here to bring a bunch of medical supplies. And Iran actually made a long-term deal with Syria. It was just announced, I think, today on oil, gas, and trade. So this is probably also going to it's not going to immediately end the Syrian civil war, but the pro-Saudi opposition forces or whatever are kind of just being left out to dry because we've made peace with the government of Syria. So you guys are kind of on your own. Have fun, but we're all on the same page here. So this is chalk this one up as an L in the loss column for the U.S.
No.
It was the U.S. as a U.S. official and analyst was well, this kind of works out for the U.S. because they're pivoting towards Asia anyways. They're pivoting away from the Middle East and towards Asia anyways. And it's that is totally not a normal thing you just say.
Yeah, I don't buy that either. That's a lie. That's what I would call that, is a lie.
Yeah, it's
they still want oil from the Middle East.
Yeah, we still want the
oil.
Can I have oil as a treat? Evidently.
Can I get some oil as a treat?
They can't just be
just a little treat.
Whatever. That wasn't important to us anyways. It's fine.
We really spent the past several decades here trying to cause regional strife so we could pit people against each other.
Joe.
That totally worked out in the end.
It's been the past 3 decades of foreign policy have been almost exclusively about that. So
really closer to 5.
Joe. Yes. Would you like some oil for a treat?
I'm good. I got some soda.
Oh, that's not gonna run your military vehicles.
I have a question, Scott.
What?
Did Starbucks?
Sorry.
Wow. Very hostile.
What? What's up?
Did Starbucks make an olive oil drink?
I don't want to get into it, but yeah, we are.
Ugh.
They did?
Yeah, this I don't we don't do it, but we're trying. It's an olive oil coffee thing. I don't even. It's
that sounds horrible.
It does. It's I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do. I'm my manager hates the idea. I hate the idea.
I think most people hate the idea.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's a trend. I don't know.
This is a gift that keeps giving, because I've never heard of this until Jesse brought it up, because like the closest Starbucks to me is like 7 or 8 miles away.
Really? Wow. Olive oil coffee. Yeah, no, it's fucking gross. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Maybe like corporate is like panicking so much because of like all of the union lawsuits. So it's like, hey, let's just come up with like a new poorly thought out idea to get people's attention.
Well, I mean, like, it's not a new thing. So, I guess the experts say you can put some olive oil in your coffee, and not only is it helps with the bitterness and it's not so acidic, but also it helps
Coming out the other end, too. Ooh.
But isn't olive oil acidic?
This is what it says, dog. I don't know. It's probably a different type of acidity that it's probably they cancel each other out, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm looking up right now the pH of olive oil.
Oh, God, I don't know how any of that shit works.
Olive oil acidity.
I don't know, fucking chemistry, motherfucker.
Or pulling out pH balances? I don't even know what that means. I'm not kidding. I don't. And I don't think I will have a worse life not knowing. So, like, because nobody's telling me what pH balance is.
Never mind.
What?
Quote, since vegetable oils are not aqueous fluids, a pH meter cannot be used for this measure.
Whoa! That is probably why. That is probably what is doing whatever it's doing in the coffee.
No, it's just saying that, like, de facto, you can't measure the pH of, like, oil because it separates from water.
It's true. What is pH balance?
It's basically a logarithmic scale of acidity.
Okay.
And what that really means is it giving or absorbing hydrogen ions?
Okay. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, whatever.
We leave the science understanding part to you.
Acid is a molecule or ion capable of either donating a proton, i.e. hydrogen ion, or forming a covalent bond with an electron pair.
An electron? Wow.
So, acidic things want to get rid of a proton.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it's doing to the coffee. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just...
Fuck.
Giving all of its protons to the coffee, so the coffee will be...
It's pro something. I don't know. You know, they used to strain coffee through eggs.
What the fuck is wrong with these people, dude?
That was like how they did it in like this, like the 1700s. I mean,
yeah, in the 1700s, they thought that people had fucking an imbalance of the humors.
Yeah. Oh, I'm dying of the old consumption. All right.
I think it was Edison believed in miasma theory, which literally means that like people get sick because there's
bad air.
Yeah, he also was into Hermeticism and did his own translation of the Great Tablet. Weird guy. Weird era.
So I'll admit I have no idea if Edison specifically believed in germ theory. Bacteria wasn't discovered as a causative agent of illness until the end of the 19th century, in part because assholes like Edison were making good science more expensive. The egg thing, though, there's some evidence for that. While I couldn't find anything about people using eggs to strain their coffee, a traditional Scandinavian brewing method involves adding one raw egg, with shell included, to reduce the acidic taste associated with overcooked coffee grounds. Eggshells are alkaline, being comprised almost entirely of calcium carbonate, which is the active ingredient in Tums.
It's good that we have modern science. You know?
While it lasts.
What? Oh.
We have a society that seems actively intent on going backwards.
Wow. Yeah.
We forget all of this shit.
That's what Tenet was about. No, literally, it kind of was. Would you like to talk about safe injection sites or?
Sure. So I just found, I was going through headlines and I found a Boston.com article, quote, the U.S.-backed study of safe injection sites and overdose prevention. So basically, the Biden administration has approved a pretty big grant to New York University and Brown University to do a 4-year study on the safe injection sites. In 2 of them are in New York, and 1 of them will be opening in Providence, Rhode Island, to have like a scientific backing to the claim that safe injection sites reduce overdoses and lead to better outcomes. Which, I mean, it's kind of a redundant study because every other country that this has been implemented in has been wildly successful. But this is one of the weird things about the United States exceptionalism, is that like we just don't trust Europeans about anything. We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Like if they say a chemical is dangerous, they're like, well, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, we don't use the metric system because the U.S. government in 1954 concluded that the metric system was just a communist conspiracy.
It is a communist conspiracy, and that's why we should adopt it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, clearly.
Anyways, this has already been implemented in several European states successfully, but I think it is a step forward for the NIH. Is that Department of Health and Human Services?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is definitely a step forward for the Department of Health and Human Services, given recent developments that we have covered on this podcast before, privatization of healthcare, horrible treatment of immigrants, etc. I think anything that will get us closer to a harm reduction model in this country rather than a punitive and violent policy of warfare on drugs it's positive, like unequivocally positive. I don't really have any particular feelings about like the institutions that are going to be conducting the study.
What institutions? I know you already.
New York University and Brown University. I don't think it matters really.
Yeah.
You know, like it's going to be kind of hard to spin the result. Well, okay, here's the thing. The reason that this study will be very difficult is, one, you're dealing with a population that like in almost every case is going to be extremely hesitant to self-disclose. And also, 2, trying to follow up with people who are actively using is like impossible.
I imagine, yeah.
So there are a couple of ways that the study could maybe be underwhelming, but because of the success that safe injection sites have had in other parts of the world and, you know, locally in the places that like people have organized sites, I don't want to say illegally, but, you know,
clandestinely.
Well, in the absence of like any real government programs to address the issue, you know, there's the Church of Safe Injection. If people are going to organize like an amateur response to address the crisis of substance use disorders, overdoses, lack of access to clean kits and all that, it's a net positive for society. So
Yes.
like in practice, there's almost no justification to prosecute the people that are actually addressing it. But I do think it's positive. I don't think that the study is going to go badly. That definitely won't be the end-all be-all. This is going to take many more years of both scientific evidence and a shift in ideology to be able to have more states adopting harm reduction policies. I mean, Massachusetts, for instance, like this is not like a pro harm reduction state per se.
Even here in liberal progressive Massachusetts, we don't have that shit. What the fuck? Feel ripped off.
And actually, there's a group. We talked about the Operation Clean Sweep. I don't know if we talked about that specifically on this podcast before, but when the mental health working group was still active, that was one of the things that we tried to bring attention to and organize a response against. In Boston, unhoused people in the area known as Mass and Cass were periodically having their homes, albeit they temporary homes, their tents, their belongings, and even things like wheelchairs, just kind of systematically seized and thrown into dumpsters, and those who resisted were either committed against their will to psychiatric units or put in jail. And on May 1st, a group called Stop the Sweeps Boston began to organize a response to the latest sweep on Mass and Cass. And I am proud to say that the Boston chapter of the DSA has finally done something cool and folded into this organizing and has actually been actively trying to schedule shifts for DSA members so that people can always have eyes on Mass and Cass and make sure that police aren't abusing their power, and the city contracted security guards are also not abusing their power.
How many people are on a shift? Probably shouldn't reveal that information, actually. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on. But no, that's fucking rad. That's so cool.
I'm really not going to name any names, but what I will say is that it's a very surreal experience because the goal is to separate
civilians
from the residents of Mass and Cass as of right now. There are like 2 sets of rules for people to follow. If you're just passing through, you kind of get put in this sidewalk person camp where you are kept physically separate from the unhoused people of Mass and Cass, and you do not interact with the police because the police are in the street, the public health workers are in the street, and the residents of Mass and Cass are in the street. However, if you stay, then you become one of the street people, and you are not allowed to step on the sidewalk. You can't have your belongings on the sidewalk. And when the cops roll through, you have to get over to the side of the street, but you cannot leave the street. It almost feels like a proxy war. And I don't really know how to explain that aside from, like, all of this is happening out in the open. Like, people are using in the open, and police are not arresting them. There are dealers that are just camped out there that are selling drugs in the open. There are workers from the homeless shelters. There are medics. And then there are these security guards who, at least from whatever, I'll just fucking out myself. From what I saw, they actually seem like they have a pretty decent relationship with the people on Mass Cass because I don't know if either of you are like familiar with the term like poverty tourism.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Poverty porn.
Oh yeah, I know.
Mass Cass is a place that people will go to get fucking YouTube views, you know?
Yes.
And so
yes, I actually there's this guy who does like walking tours, and he's done a bunch around Mass and Cass on his YouTube. It's really weird.
Yeah, so the guards, the company is called Ware. In some ways, they kind of run interference for the police. A couple of them started to get kind of weird with me because I was taking a picture of a cop, and the guy like loudly accused me of taking pictures of the encampment.
Oh.
And he was like, people don't like when you do that. It's not safe to do that. So, of course, one of the dudes from the encampment came up to me and was like, you taking pictures of us? And I was like, no, I was taking a picture of the cop. So, in some ways, it's like the guards keep the encampment safe.
Oh, I get it, yeah.
From people who want to exploit the situation. But at the same time, they kind of create a power dynamic that's not necessary.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it too much, but
yeah, no, don't.
I think part of it is the fact that there's eyes on it now. That was the whole point of the call to action, was to make sure that there are eyes on this situation so that people aren't going to be taken advantage of. And so I think that has an effect, kind of a chilling effect, but at the same time, they don't fucking like having the extra attention on them.
Oh, yeah. Most certainly not. Yeah, no, yeah.
You can feel the fucking tension.
Yikes. All right, wow.
It was like the best use of public space that I've ever seen in Boston. It's kind of like everybody's friends. Probably the biggest crowd of people that I've seen in Boston who aren't like chasing the false American dream, you know? Like they don't have any illusions about how difficult their lives are going to be. And they're not trying to save face. And that was like really wholesome to be a part of and experience. But at the same time, it's gut-wrenching because they've also accepted, in essence, that there is no solution that's going to be offered to them without strings attached. They're going to be expected, if they accept help for treatment or housing, that they're probably going to be surveilled and expected to stay clean and become a productive member of society, you know, according to that false American dream that everybody else is chasing. And, you know, if you're struggling with mental illness or you're struggling with a substance use disorder or you have unprocessed trauma, or if you've just lived your whole life in poverty and you function better basically on the street, then the prospect of like changing the way that you live entirely, I'm sure that's absolutely terrifying. Like, it was terrifying just to get clean for me. And I was a kid. I was 17 years old. That was the scariest thing I ever did. So for somebody who's been, relying on some kind of substance to give them like whatever sense of normalcy that they know for years and years and years, like that's got to be that much scarier, Working with unhoused people in the Boston area has been probably the most beneficial thing that I've been doing for like not just my own mental health, but my development as a person. I'm just operating on this level where like everybody is extended the same degree of humanity because they're all fucking human, and everybody deserves to have their basic needs met, I don't feel like somebody who couldn't get clean is doing something wrong or they're a failure. And I can now see where like my attitude towards recovery was skewed because I had been spending most of my time around other people in recovery. But like the truth is that most people aren't going to get clean. And the absolute best thing that we can do as like advocates for the human race are meet some of those material needs that people are going to have regardless of whether they're using or not.
True, yeah. Very well said, sir.
Want to talk about some debt?
Give me some debt. Strap me with some debt. Joe loves debt. Like, it's a topic that he always returns to. You love it. Talk about it.
Well,
talk about your. Why do you love debt so much? Why do you love it? No, you love it. Tell me you love it.
Because I'm a Marxist who understands how finance works.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, God. Yeah, tell us about that debt. Go on.
So, the Treasury Secretary last week went before Congress and told them that instead of the initial projection that we would,
You fucked up, boy.
That we would breach the debt ceiling in like late September, we're going to run out of money around June 1st.
Have they? What?
Because the U.S. government took in less tax revenue than projected.
How'd they fuck that up? How do you fuck that up?
They fucked it up on purpose.
Yeah, probably.
So there's about 3 weeks until basically economic catastrophe happens.
You're going to say cataclysm. That's fine. Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, it will be like on a global scale, but...
Yeah, well,
here in the United States domestically, that would be like the beginning of the COVID pandemic, but like 3 times worse, and within the space of like a month.
What do you mean?
In terms of like the amount of jobs lost.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, well, we have conservative leadership.
So what the fuck? Sorry.
We have conservative leadership of the Congress right now, which means that this is a perfect excuse to return to austerity.
And so the House did pass a bill to raise the debt limit, but it has like a bunch. No, it has like a bunch of like basically every conservative pet issue in it, like cutting the entitlements, something about wokeism. Basically, like let's do like all of the austerity. It's like a messaging bill, basically, of like, we'll do like a little bit of a debt raise limit, but we want to do like a fuck ton of austerity. And that's obviously not going to happen. And the White House has been pretty consistent that its position is, we are not negotiating with you dipshits about this, because we will only negotiate a clean debt ceiling bill, because our government's like finances shouldn't be held hostage by a bunch of dipshits who control one chamber of Congress instead of like the Senate, the White House.
The Democrats are telling the Republicans that their bill is too filthy.
Gotta clean it up.
And it doesn't seem like it's anything is any progress has been made.
God damn it.
But what was really funny for me was the director of national intelligence went before the Senate Armed Services Committee on, I think it was like on Thursday or whatever. And this is from Politico, and Politico is a pretty conservative outlet. I mean, the parent company
I've never wondered.
Like the parent company of Politico
I've really never
Germany literally makes their employees like sign like a loyalty oath to NATO in Israel.
Wow.
Wow. All right, that's problematic.
Its employees in Europe have to sign a loyalty oath to, like, the American-backed, like, international order, NATO, and Israel.
That is one big pile of shit.
Must not have any Irish correspondents.
God damn it.
So, Politico is, that kind of cringe kind of, like, trickles downhill. But even for them, it's kind of hilarious. I'm just going to read this quote from What Happened? Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines said the U.S. adversaries like China and Russia would almost certainly take advantage of a debt default to project chaos in the country.
Chaos in the country.
To the rest of the world. Quote, generally, both Russia and China would look to narrate through information operations such as an event as demonstrating the chaos with the United States that we're not capable of functioning as a democracy and the governance issues associated with it. They have done it on a range of issues. Basically, the Director of National Intelligence begging Congress to get off its ass so that we don't have evidence to other countries that we are an unhinged nation violently jostling from one crisis to another that is also completely incapable of the basic tasks of governance. It's bad when the spooks are literally begging you to get your ass off the sofa so that we don't look like a bunch of cringe, slack-jawed yokels that also have a bunch of nukes.
Who the fuck would ever say cringe, slack-jawed yokels?
Fucking
Joe, I love you, man. I love you, bro.
The Swedes would say it. Totally.
Oh, by the way, pretty telling. Politico's correspondent for Ireland.
Fuck Politico.
His last name is Pogachnik.
Oh god.
It's like the least Irish guy ever.
All right, so are we gonna? Okay, Jesus Christ. Are we gonna default on our debt then? Is that what's gonna happen?
There's a good chance of that.
That'd be bad.
Yeah, that would be really bad.
Yeah.
The Treasury Department estimates that if there was a default, the U.S. economy would shed about 7 to 8 million jobs within the first month.
Just shed them. Just shed them. Get rid of it like an old coat. Don't need it anymore.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So, the Biden administration loves to talk about how they've created 12 million jobs since he's been in office, but if they don't get their shit together, most of those jobs are going to be gone in 2 months anyways.
Dude, Amazon just reported record-breaking profits, and they laid off a ton of people.
Oh, that's bad.
So did Royal Dutch Shell.
Is that Shell?
Shell, the oil company.
Royal Dutch Shell?
That's the full
dignify
company.
them with their full name? How dare you?
They laid off a bunch of people, and they've had record profits, and they gave out record dividends because they've been able to raise prices.
Yeah,
Royal
Dutch Shell should be referred to by its full name because it was a huge merger of,
I guess. All right, sure.
Shell used to be its own fucking company.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I guess I'm going off old information.
Come on, man.
What do I know?
Dude, there's 4 companies on Earth. Get with the program,
That's it?
bro.
Oh. Oh, boy. I mean, it's partially true. You should listen to the song by Fugazi called 5 Corporations.
Now it's 4.
That's depressing, isn't it? Yeah. Woo! So we're about to go into debt.
Oh, wait a second.
So fucking awesome.
Royal Dutch Shell.
Stop talking about them. Yes?
No. This is fucking insane.
Why do you like insane things?
All right, so I have to first apologize.
Why?
Because
to me specifically?
Yes.
Oh,
because the merger that formed Royal Dutch, the fuck me. Never mind. I can't even get it. I can't even verbalize how much merging has happened over the years. So so
there ain't no Royal Dutch left in that shell.
Correct.
Okay.
It's actually now just called Shell PLC.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess is what happens when you forsake any concept of regulating the quote unquote free market.
actually, the last time I covered this on the podcast, they were Royal Dutch Shell.
Jesus Christ, fuck this company.
But they fucking merged.
I'm annoyed.
They merged shares in January 2022.
Oh.
So now they're just called Shell.
Fuck this shit. I'm so annoyed. Corporate merger. Ugh. So, yeah, but we're going to default. It's going to rule. Go to Latvia. What happened there?
No, don't go to fucking Latvia. You know the agenda. Oh, goddamn.
To-do list. Don't go to Latvia.
All right, do whatever. Talk about the next
Yeah,
story.
if you want to go to Latvia, I don't care.
Oh, my God.
You go you want. I mean, it's just not recommended. Surgeon General warning on the label.
Go to the next story.
So...
Thank you. God damn it.
Don't run for office in Russia.
Okay, so...
Do not come. Do not come.
If the dial of ideas was turned to low for the last few years, it's quickly moving into the hot position.
That wasn't one of the ones.
Do not come.
Those are all wild forms of cope.
All right. Stop. Joe, talk.
So,
Do not come.
Stop it. Dueling fucking soundboards. Insanity.
Antifa!
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, whoa. Oh.
I only have like 4 sound effects queued up.
Joe's like
so.
fucking coughing out a lung. We gotta stop.
Oh, that's just how it
Breaking news.
Oh, shit.
Joe's coughing out a lung. That's one of my 5 sound effects.
I'm getting
Do not come.
Oh, okay. Stop. I'm gonna fucking lose it. Oh.
Oh, it sounds way worse if I was
Joe!
coughing out a lung. But here is this 3-minute article. It is a good jumping out point to. My brain is too frazzled. Fuck it.
Motherfucker.
It's a good yeah, basically that's what's happening. Right? It's a good jumping off point into the segment as a whole.
It's like plug and play with prepositions.
Hey, you gotta leave on the record player when they're sleeping.
What happened in Latvia? I'm gonna fucking seriously, Joe.
So, I'm just gonna read the article because it's like pretty quick.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, what's happening is...
So basically, what I was thinking of was...
Latvia is now making people who have lived in this country for like 70 years, ethnic Russians, take like a language test to prove their loyalty to the country or be forcibly deported, basically trying to root out any kind of like ethnic or cultural ties that remain from like the Soviet era.
You know what I love? And by love, I mean, I fucking hate it, is that the byline is in a Stalinist skyscraper, which dominates the skyline of Latvia's capital.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's the first sentence.
That's like the only way you could make this sound like it was somehow Russia's fault. You know what I mean?
Actually, this whole article is genuinely depressing.
What is it? What
in
is
a Stalinist skyscraper which dominates the skyline of Latvia's capital, dozens of elderly Russians wait to take a basic Latvian language test as proof of loyalty to a country where they have lived for decades.
What is this?
Clutching red Russian passports, the participants, mostly women, read their notes for last-minute revision, fearing they'll be expelled from the Baltic country if they fail. Speaking Russian instead of Latvian has not been a problem until now, but the war in Ukraine has changed that picture. Last year's election campaign was dominated by questions of national identity and security concerns. The government now demands a language test from the 20,000 people in this country holding Russian passports, mostly elderly and female, as the loyalty of Russian citizens is a worry, says Dimitrios Trofimotis, the state secretary at the Interior Ministry. Quote, "If I'm deported, I would have nowhere to go. I have lived here for 40 years, says 70-year-old Valentina Sevastanova, former English teacher at Riga Guide, after her final Latvian lesson in a private school in central Riga, ready for when she takes her own exams. Quote, "I took the Russian passport in 2011 to easily visit my sick parents in Belarus. They are now gone. Sevastyanova was in a class of 11 women aged 62 to 74, taking a 3-month crash course. Each applied for Russian passports after independent Latvia re-emerged in 1994 from the ashes of the Soviet Union. That sentence, like, it re-emerged from the ashes of the Soviet Union like it's a fucking phoenix or some shit.
It is a, no, it's, I don't know.
What? It was a phoenix?
Yeah, it was a phoenix.
It made them eligible for retirement at 55, a pension from Russia, and visa-free travel to Russia and Belarus. But after Russia invaded last year, Latvia switched off Russian TV channels, crushed a Soviet World War II monument, and is now working towards eliminating education in Russian. This has left many of Latvia's ethnic Russians, who make up about a quarter of the entire population, feeling that they may be losing their place in society, or speaking solely Russian has been acceptable for decades. Russian citizens under the age of 75 who do not pass the test by the end of the year will be given reasonable time to leave, according to the Interior Minister. And if they do not, they could face a quote-unquote forced expulsion. Quote, they voluntarily decided to take the citizenship not of Latvia, but of another state. He said the test was needed because Russian authorities justified their invasion of Ukraine by the need to protect Russian nationals abroad. I think that learning Latvian is right, but this pressure's wrong, Sevastyanova said. Quote, people live in a Russian environment, they speak with only Russians. Why not? It's a large diaspora. There are large Russian-speaking workplaces, there are Russian newspapers, TV, radio, you can converse in Russian in shops and markets. Latvians easily switch to Russian, end quote. To pass, they need to understand basic Latvian phrases and speak in simple sentences, such as, I would like to have a dinner and I would like to choose fish, not meat, said Lian Voronenko, head of Latvia's National Center of Education, which conducts these exams. Quote, I love learning languages, and I expected to be learning French in retirement, but now I end up learning Latvian instead. Oh well, why not? Sevastyanova said.
I mean, that is a good attitude.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is
cool.
Extremely positive spin on this situation. Yeah, this is fascist. That's what my thought is.
And that would be correct.
That would be like
shit.
That would be like if we deported all of the Chinese nationals that like couldn't speak English perfectly.
Yeah.
But you see,
which, to be fair, we have done before.
Yes.
But like, you know,
fucked up and bullshit.
You see, this gets into the deeper topic because this is not the only country where they've been doing shit like this.
Oh.
Well, actually, for perspective, let's jump back to like the 70s. You have, under Leonid Brezhnev, leader of the Soviet Union, this idea of, actually it's better to jump back to the 40s first to explain what Banderites are. So, Stepan Bandera was a fascist, he was a Nazi.
Joe put a lot of work into this historical analysis of the Russo-Ukrainian conflict, but we decided to not include it in the episode. I'm going to hold on to the files for now, and if and when I have the time, clean up the audio and release it as a Patreon exclusive. There's already plenty of information out there if you're shaky on the details, but as a podcast, we'd like to come to a better consensus on what our ethical responsibilities actually are in regard to this war, before we release nearly an hour of content from a critical perspective.
Writers are all on strike in Hollywood, in woke Hollywood. Oh no! Where are we gonna get our stories? Yeah. So woke Hollywood is they all want money. What the fuck is that? What? Yeah, exactly. These writers, they all want money. They don't want the AI to take over. Fuck that. You know, I want my art to have no life to it whatsoever. I want all of my style to be incredibly sterile and awful. Yeah. So the Writers Guild of America went on strike. It has to do with basically that on one hand, the streaming services, the streamers, the big corporations are telling their investors that they're going to make billions of dollars, but then are also saying that streaming doesn't make any money. to the writers and are not paying the writers. And basically, like, people want less hours, they want more pay, they want decent living, you know? Like, there are, like, Emmy-winning writers right now, like, showrunners who, like, can't pay their rent. And that's fucking insane. And it's like, I know, you can fucking complain, like, whatever. They're like, you know...
But didn't, like, the structure for which, like, writers get paid was, like, pretty much blown up by the emergence of streaming? Because wasn't it something like...
Yes.
You get a certain amount of, like, residual payment from, like, royalties or whatever every time, like, a TV episode aired that you wrote. But now that, like, you have streaming...
Getting there.
There is no residual, like...
Basically.
Because it's just, like, it's put up there once and it's done.
Or, like, you spend all of your fucking time working on a project that the network just decides to not go through with.
That's what happened a lot during COVID. There was a bunch of projects that were greenlit because the studios didn't know what was going to happen that never went anywhere. And so there's a bunch of people that, like, their jobs the entire time were in flux. But yeah, no, exactly. And it's the same thing that
happened to Westworld.
Jesus Christ.
They greenlit, like, another season and then they canceled it, even though they already paid everybody.
Yeah, but at least they still paid everybody with that show. They still paid.
That's why it was, like, notable, because, like, that it's not normally how that goes. Normally it's like, it's over, it's done, you're just not getting paid. You know, you did all this work.
And it's largely a repeat of what happened with the DVD sales and stuff. That was the strike in, like, 2008. Solidarity is all you gotta say. And what's interesting is that, like, the Directors Guild and SAG are also... what it's called? SAG are also...
the Screen Actors Guild.
In the middle of their contract negotiations, and their contracts are about to go up, and it looks like they are not going to reach their deadlines, and so they are going to join the strike as well. And so everything's going to shut down. Like, every show is going to be... It's done. Like, this might be, like... This is a year in Hollywood. We're going to see some changes after this. Like, things are going to get bad before they get better, and this could be a while. Like, $20 billion was lost the last time this happened. So... some pockets are going to have to open. Some pocketbooks are going to have to open. Pay your fucking writers.
I really, like, hate minimizing this kind of thing.
No, I know. That was what
labor is labor, dude, especially when the product that you are creating is consumed by so many people. But
yeah, I know.
It's just, like, a weird experience for me because I, like, don't watch movies.
No, I know, but this is, like, the precise thing I was trying to say earlier, is that, like, you can complain that, like, it is, like, it's all these woke Hollywood liberals who don't want to fucking go to work. And it's like, but, like, dude, like, imagine, putting all your fucking, like, putting a year of your life into, like, going to an office every fucking year, like, day, and then either, like, you win an award or your show is canceled. Either way, you still can't pay your fucking rent. Like, that's fucking insane, you know? Come on. Film school costs a lot of money, too. It's like everybody in that fucking industry is still in, like, wild debt at the same time. It's fucked. Everything's bad. This country is fucked. Ugh.
Well, it's like, I don't have that, this is, you know, woke liberals being, like, whining about whatever.
It's a joke. I'm not actually saying it.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, some fucking losers can, like, bellyache about, like, the, you know, they can bellyache. You know?
Gotta have them ribs. And pussy too.
They gotta have it. And the strike, they're like, what? And then Hassan went down to the strike and gave everybody pizza, and it was charming. Yes.
Well, if you don't have people bellyaching, how are you going to be able to, like, divide class solidarity?
Exactly.
Fucking exactly. So I stand with the writers, and I hope they get their contracts. And I hope that Hollywood erodes from the inside and can go fuck itself.
I mean, all of the movies that I really like are independent films for the most part.
Oh.
I absolutely value film as a medium, you know? And I think
we
that...
just don't have the attention span for it.
Well, it's like if there's the same level of, like, exploitation and inequality in the film industry as there is with everything else, then... obviously it's going to affect the quality of the product in a way that, like, obscures working class values. Yeah. And so, like, yeah, it might suck for some people who, like, are, you know, avid Paramount Pictures fans or whatever. But, like, you know, this is how the cultural narrative that we are creating about ourselves becomes more honest.
Oh, that's a good way of putting that. Wow. Damn, that's a good way of putting that. Yeah.
Speaking of independent cinema,
How to Blow Up a Pipeline is now streaming, and you should watch it because it's very good. There, I recommended a movie, Return to Form. Can we end this now? We've been going for a while.
I want to plug Rod's channel too.
Plug it.
Watch Rod's
Rod it up. Insert that rod.
Just search Rod Weber.
Sorry. Yeah, insert his rod. Insert the rod. I shouldn't. Jesus Christ. I shouldn't be
He makes
stopped.
very good, very political and very satirical film.
Political satire. Folks, you love it. You know, I love it. Joe, do you love it?
Yes.
We loved it so much he was on another one of our two-parters.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Joe loves it. Joe, say it again. You love it. Say you love it. Say it. Say it. Say you love it. Oh! My name's Scott.
Do not come.
Yeah, oh no.
Gotta have them ribs. And pussy too.
Antifa!
Alright, my name's Scott. Sweaty wife on the various internets. Yeah. Sweaty _wife on Twitch. Joe, what do you know?
I know a great many things.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So pompous.
History is one of them. I was
Oh,
simply
history
providing
is one of them. I love it.
historical context and am not promoting one country or, well.
No, it is actually very important.
Yeah, no, thank you.
But I'm Joe, usually be found complaining about how the Red Sox are doing or
And the
that there's no
delirium.
baseball going on.
Talking about baseball endlessly is fucked. Sorry.
Well, we all have our ways with coping with the insanity of living in this country.
Yeah, well.
Mine is baseball.
That's why baseball is better than life. It's fair. That's from the film The Fan. The Tony Scott movie, The Fan. And he's Jesse!
I'm Jesse. You can find my music at soundcloud.com/contingents Boston. CONTINGENZE Boston. And I do have a slam recommendation this evening. And it is an oldie but goodie.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Mm.
I always come back to this album time and time again, in part because of the drums. So, in the spirit of that, your slam recommendation is an album entitled, it's going to be so hard to get through. I can actually play it this time, too.
Oh, God. Oh.
It is an album entitled Abhorrent Stench of Posthumous Gastrorectal Desecration.
Good Lord.
The artist is Epicardiectomy.
Oh, yeah. I remember that, man.
And they are from Prague, Czechia. The Czech Republic.
Oh.
It's like how you say the Czech Republic in Czech. It's like Turkey. That's how you say Turkey in Turkish.
All right.
The drummer's name is, I think it's Milan is how you pronounce it, but this guy like spawned a whole era of slam.
He slammed so hard, nobody slammed quite like it.
It's true. He always has grills too.
Oh, wow.
Listen.
I mainly just hear the throat singing.
I thought someone throat singing. Excuse you? Anyways.
Listen to the way he uses that whole drum set, dude.
It's the way he uses the whole drum set with his body.
crash, the little symbol, the little ping, ping. Yeah, anyway, they have a new EP coming out. It's called Exhumed Decollated Mutilation. I haven't heard anything off of it. Nobody has, but it's going to be fucking sick.
Oh, you can find us in the club.
That was supposed to fade out. I didn't like that way that didn't fade out.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward, but Yeah, Epic Incredulity on Instagram. We're on Patreon where you can get your Marxist, goddamn menageries. If you want to know how to say it correctly, I still fuck up. God damn it. And all the various things that you love to get from us. That was a weird way of saying it. Anyways, yeah.
Please join our Patreon. I just paid like a shitload of money to be able to use Zencastr Pro.
God damn it.
So that we can continue to do this.
Having fun, hanging out, and being
for
in
a
love.
whole other year. I invested in the whole year of this bullshit.
Yeah.
You guys.
Oh boy. You know what we hope happens is the tanks roll out and Zencastr is liberated from the capitalist forces.
Yes.
We say but tankto Zencastr, but tankto.
But tankto.
Oh god, that's the epoch. We've been going for so long. Please. Merciful God, please end it.
Okay.
Oh my god. Love you guys.
They believe Donald John Trump incited the erection.
Oh yeah, Trump was ruled civilly liable for rape and sexual assault, so Donald Trump is a rapist, so fuck him.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I thought everybody already knew that.
Yeah, well, now it's in the books.
Fuck off.
American
Fuck
child
off.
to have access to pristine outdoor spaces. When young Americans experience
spaces. Oh my god, dude.
We want every American child to have access to pristine outdoor spaces. When young Americans experience the breathtaking beauty of the Grand Canyon, when their eyes widen in amazement as Old Faithful bursts into the sky, when they gaze upon Yosemite towering sequoias, their love of country grows stronger, and they know that every American has truly a duty to preserve this wondrous inheritance.
Yosemites.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god.